What's up YouTube, it's Adrian from MMOSWORLD. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are taking a first impressions look at Neverwinter, this free-to-play MMO by Cryptic, or ARC as it is known now. It's been released since 2013 and it's still going strong, releasing regular updates for the game. So we are going to be creating a character, looking at character creation. We're going to be looking at the intro tutorial and spending about 15 to 20 minutes just checking out what your first experience and your first steps is going to be like in Neverwinter. So here we are in the character creation screen. Again, Neverwinter, for those of you that do not know, is based on the Dungeons and Dragons universe. That's the tabletop game which has been popular for decades and decades. And you know, because there's so many editions out now, I think this is based on the 4th editions of Dungeons and Dragons. And you know, it does have a distant cousin, I would say, or a direct relation to another MMO, which is Dungeons and Dragons Online. That game is by Turbine Studios, formerly Turbine Studios, now known as Standing Stone Games. They're completely different from each other. Neverwinter is of course the newer one, and it has a lot of difference which we'll go over. So here is your race selection screen. There's a bunch of races. I believe they've added in so much more since launch all those years ago. We've got dwarves, halflings, half-elves, and each race has race bonuses and abilities that you can see on the left side of the screen here. There's some backstory as well, and all these stuff with the little Z coin here, that is the premium currency called Zen, which you can buy for real money, and you will need those to unlock premium races like the Dragonborn, and then you've got the Metallic Ancestry Dragonborn, you got Moon Elf, and the Menzo Baranzan Renegade. So there's like 4 classes that you can purchase with real money, and the rest are of course free. So I'm gonna be absolutely boring here and pick a human for now. Let's go with a human female. And now we go to class. Neverwinter has 9 classes that you can pick from. The Trickster Rogue, and you can have a preview of what the combat's going to look like. And then there's some skills down here. Stealth is for the Trickster Rogue is one of those class-specific skills, I should say. And a whole bunch more. You got the Devoted Cleric, Control Wizard, Hunter Ranger, Scourge Warlock, Oathbound Paladin, Great Weapon Fighter, Guardian Fighter, and the 9th one is coming soon. So this one is a new one that we have not seen yet. So I mean, in Neverwinter, classes do play classic archetypes in MMO. So there's of course going to be DPS, there's going to be healing, healer classes, and there's going to be tanks as well for PvE. So I'm going to go with the Scourge Warlock because it's right in the middle. Warlock's Curse looks pretty interesting. You got a Vampiric Embrace, Brood of Hadar, and Arcana. So I'm gonna go ahead and click that. And then of course, being a Dungeons and Dragons game, this is a bread and butter. This is so common in D&D type games, which is, you know, creating your character sheet, your scorecard based on your abilities like strength and constitution, intelligence, and these are all stats that are important for your character in a D&D game. So basically, for our class, we are a Scourge Warlock. So primary ability is Charisma, secondary is Constitution and Intelligence. If you're not happy with these, you can reroll. But every 10 or 20, you know, every 10 levels, you will get additional ability points that you can spend later on in game. So if you don't like it, you can reroll now and see if you can, you know, get lucky. But what I got earlier was actually pretty good, just all 15. And we have to remember what the primary stat is. So 15, 15, 15, I'm kind of happy with that. And then racial ability bonus, because I am a human, I do get to pick you know, which one I can add. I'm going to stick with intelligence and hit continue. And now we look at the character creator in depth. I mean, as a female human, there's only limited options here, but you can go into detail and customize your choice. For example, if I like the look of this one, I can just customize, and then here you'll see a bunch of you know, options that you can meddle with. And you got hair as well. Like, I don't like the hair that I have right now, so I'm just gonna go with the long bangs. I get Foxhawk. I mean, it's pretty simple character creation, but it's good to see that it does have options. Options is always good. You can change your eyes and eyebrows, tattoos, scars, and alright, this is really cool. Any game that has sliders for character creation is a big win for me. I really appreciate that. You got body shape as well. There's only 3 types, which is basically slim, heavy, or tone default. I'm going to go with slim. And the body scaling, also sliders, which is great. And you've got breast size here, shoulder width, chest width. You can play with all that good stuff. And once you're done, you're pretty much done. Oh no, I've lost everything. Well, you had to click continue, not return to basic. So I was able to show you guys a lot about the character creator there, so I'm just gonna move on now. Let's jump in. So character origins, you can see some of the areas in the D&D universe that you can pick where your character's from. Neverwinter, Lescan, North Dark, the Dale Lands. I mean, these are all places that you've probably read about or played in other games, like for example. If you played Baldur's Gate, then Baldur's Gate 2, then you know where this is. So pretty cool. I'm going to be in Neverwinter, and then to the right side here is a deity affiliation. So your character does pray to a god or deity of some sort, and in-game there will be a praying mechanic, which will be pretty important. So all you got to do is just pick which deity you want to pray to and hit on in. So you can also put in a biography here if you want to role play and whatever. As for me, I'm just going to type in our character name and we'll head in. So we'll begin at level 1, and I believe the intro tutorial is going to be the same for everybody once you get in game. So here we are right in the tutorial. The first opening quest in this game, moving around, is WASD. Moving your mouse will move the reticle around, and that is how combat and interaction will take place in this game, which is all reticle mouse mode. So the combat system is actually action combat system. Pressing the F key will interact with NPCs or doors and stuff like that. So let's go on and grab our weapons and armor here. There isn't a sprint button, unfortunately. And of course there's going to be a tutorial person who will be talking you through important stuff in the background. So I picked up a bunch of stuff. Now I'm just going to open my inventory with the I key. I'm going to equip that armor and equip the packed blade. So now I am armed. So pressing the left alt key, as the tutorial says, will put me in mouse mode, and that's gonna let you move around your mouse. And up here you can see all the different options. You got the store, you can access your mail, you can access crafting, which will be unlocked at level 10 or above, I believe. And it's one of those games where, based on the quest tracker on the right, you can totally see the sparkly, glowy thing on the ground that's going to lead you to your objective. I mean, this is very prevalent, very common in Asian type MMOs, where quest objectives will be highlighted on the ground, making it easier for you to find. So let's talk to Lieutenant Linkletter here. He's part of the tutorial. Let's get the next quest, which is basically give first aid to wounded soldiers on the battlefield. So now we'll show you how interacting with the objects will be like. Now, for basic combat, left mouse button click and right mouse button click are going to be your basic combat attacks, also known as at will. So if you hit P, this is going to open your ability screen, and you can see what combat powers you have at this level. Anything in green simply means that these are your at will buttons. Again, these are your left mouse and right mouse button attacks. So let's go ahead here and hit the left mouse, which is Eldritch Blast, at will power. So this is going to be one of my most basic attacks, and that actually looks pretty cool. Let's do another one. And basically that's how combat works here. Very simple. Use the reticle. Things turn red when there's an enemy in sight, and it's just a matter of holding down your basic combat attacks to execute. Later on, I will get access to more skills, and you can see at the bottom here of my hotkeys, you can see Q, E, and R, and these are all encounter powers that will become unlocked sooner or later.
Thanks.
Alright, so now I've given aid to 3 soldiers. Let's go on to the next objective. Movement right now is pretty slow, again, because that's I'm in the tutorial. But once you get out of the tutorial, you can purchase mounts, and there's a few different types of mounts when it comes to speed. Of course, the fastest mounts are going to be found in the store, which you can buy for real money, or they come out of lock boxes, which is a huge thing here in Neverwinter. Once you get out of the tutorial, I can guarantee you that you will be getting lots of loot boxes. So we just level up, and we've got our second power now, second at will, which is going to be the right mouse button attack. It's called Dark Spiral Charge. It fires a blast of dark energy at your target, expending. Okay, let's give that a try. Alright, so that's kind of cool. So I'm just holding down the right mouse button, and it's gonna auto execute, which is pretty interesting. So of course later on combat will evolve around using both left mouse and right mouse to create attacks on top of encounter powers and what else. So let's go ahead and grab a couple more arrows, and we'll head on to the next objective. Oh look, a hidden treasure chest. Throughout the play maps in Neverwinter, because it is not open world, a lot of the times in Neverwinter you'll come across different maps, and you'll see that it has only a particular area. You can't venture out between the area that's given to you, so it's very linear, very theme park in that way. But on each of these maps you will find stuff like hidden chests and kits like dungeon kits or arcana kits, which you can open if you have the relevant kits, or if you have a particular race skill that allows you to open stuff like that. Respawn point has unlocked, which basically means this campfire. If you have lost health and you don't have self heals, then you want to make sure you come to this campfire, and it will automatically restore some health. You can also pray in here, but again, praying is for much later on. That's once you get out of the tutorial and get into a higher level, then you'll get to see all those mechanics. I don't think I can show you that in today's video, because we're only taking a first impressions look. So Sleeping Dragon Bridge is the next objective. Let's go ahead and do it. Awesome, so we do have our first encounter power, which is Killing Flames. What does this do? Use your target's suffering to fuel internal flames around them. So let's go try that out. I'm going to look for Undead Soldier, and I'm going to hit the Q key, and boom, that is a pretty awesome skill. Pretty awesome encounter power. And now I've got a soul puppet following me around. That's pretty wicked. I kind of like that. And then you can see that your cooldown will be on, your encounter power will be on cooldown. But the ghost that I summoned from that encounter power is still around, so that's pretty sick. And there's lots of classes too, so if you're bored with one, simply re-roll a character and try and figure out what the best one is. Alright, let's save the Dragon Bridge. This is the travel map later on. Once you get out of the tutorial, this is where you're going to go from one area of the map. You're going to move from map to map to map at various different levels to take on the main story, to do campaigns, and all that good stuff. But for right now, the tutorial, we only have access to one area, so let's go ahead and do it. Alrighty, let's go to their aid. Alright, that just highlights the shift to shadow step, which is basically a dodge for this particular class. And that's going to take stamina, as you can see on the screen. Where the arrow is pointing you to, it actually shows you how much stamina your dodging is going to take. So you can't actually spam your dodge skill too much. And it makes sense too for like PvP. So it becomes an exercise of control, and timing, and strategy. There you go. So that's what, combat is going to look like. It's very much, I suppose, in line with games like Terra that came before Neverwinter, and now games after it. Lots of action combat MMOs have this sort of styling when it comes to radical combat systems and basic power combos, stuff like that. Stuff like Secret World Legends, for example, remodeled their combat system. But Neverwinter's, for it being, 4 years old now, it still feels pretty good. It feels really natural with a mouse and keyboard setting, and I've got absolutely no problem I'm actually enjoying the combat here. It gets a lot better later on, especially when you get more levels and you get the ability to spend more points into the different powers, and there's a freedom of choice. You can totally create the perfect character you want using all the various different skills in your locker and find a good niche, because your class at level 26, for example, your class has the ability to go and pick a subclass. So this is a daily power. Number 1 is basically a daily power which will drain this entire golden globe here thing, and then you gotta recharge that before you can use it again. Now class power is basically Shadow Cloak, and that's what Shadow Walk, sorry, which is what's here, which increases my run speed. So that's great. I already have those two equipped, so I don't have to do anything else. My run speed is increased by 10%. So that's pretty cool, especially if you're a newbie and starting out in the first few maps and you don't have access to a horse. Then class powers that increase run speed or gear that increases run speed and movement will be an absolute godsend. Alright, let's take on the Harbinger. And oops, this lieutenant here is a bit gung-ho. He's gonna get himself killed, I think. Yeah, so Valindra, which is that evil witch you're looking at right now, is the vanilla game's core antagonist, and the main story will involve her and what she's doing and what the threat that she's posing to the city of Neverwinter, and it's your job to work with Sergeant Knox, who's a main character that you will come to learn of later on, to save Neverwinter. So I'm going to use my daily power right now. I'm going to hit the number 1 key. Boom, and you can totally see that just took a chunk of his health, but I can't use it again because I need to recharge that daily power thing. So hitting the F key will automatically loot, and when it comes to loot, Neverwinter has the system where you'll pick up stuff that are unidentified, and to identify them you gotta use Scrolls of Identification, which also drops randomly for mobs. Hit identify, and then you can see the stats and what stats it for. And that's how some of the loot system works here in Neverwinter. And that's it. We're out of the tutorial. Alrighty, out of the loading screen, and here we are in Protector's Enclave. This is the first area that you will arrive in Neverwinter, and that is Sergeant Knox, who is your main point of contact through the entire game. I kid you not. Every main story quest chain, every new area map, every quest that will take you to a new map, all comes through him, so you want to stick with him. And Protector's Enclave, this is basically the congregation area, the main quest town, or I should say the main town hub, regardless of what race you are. This is where you're going to end up, because the auction house is here, the banks are here, everything is here in Protector's Enclave, and this is how you're going to get from one area to the next. So basically, that is just what your first 20 minutes is going to be looking like in Neverwinter. I mean, it's a free-to-play game. It's on Steam. You don't have to play it on Steam. You can get this the launcher on its own. And it survived for this long, and it's actually doing pretty well. It just released a new update, the Jungles of Chult module, based on the Tome of Annihilation that only came out like a month ago. So they're constantly putting out updates, and it's pretty fun to play because it's also multi-platform. So if you don't want to play on the PC, you can get it on the Xbox, or you can get it on the PS as well. So that wraps up our first impressions look at Neverwinter. If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe to MMOSWORLD for more MMO reviews, first impressions, and weekly news recaps. As ever, I'm Adrian from MMOSWORLD, signing out.